Hello, welcome to Straight Painting. I'm your host Zach, and I'm officially inviting you on my journey of learning how to paint Magic the Gathering cards. If you have an interest in making your own altars, please feel free to follow me. Together, let's learn from my mistakes. First up, a little bit about me. I am a pixel artist, and you can find me on both Instagram and Twitter at BelazArt. I'll leave a link in the description box below in case you want to follow me there. I specialize in making pictures out of tiny squares, and recently I've been wanting to learn more about art theory and also learning a non-computer based art skill. So I've chosen to resurrect acrylic painting. Now, I haven't done any acrylic painting since I was a teenager, which is well over a decade ago, when I used to paint some miniatures for tabletop wargaming. In the between time, I've made, a handful of watercolors in my life, so I have a little bit of familiarity with using a paintbrush. However, I have no concept of what is involved with mixing colors or even applying paint to an object in a way that makes it look great. So I'm here to make a bunch of mistakes and hopefully learn from that process, and maybe you can learn from the mistakes that I make as well. The first card that I've chosen to alter is a Terramorphic Expanse. I've chosen it for a few reasons, the main one being it seems to have a lot of the colors that an altarist will most commonly use when painting cards, those colors being black, brown, and white. And it'll offer me an opportunity to learn how to mix all the different shades together, so that's good. Secondly, it's going to look perfect in my Tatiova Benthic Druid deck, which is a landfall deck that I've built, and it already has a number of alternative art cards in it. However, those are all WotC official cards from Secret Layers or special promos that have been printed. I slowly want to build that deck up into being more of an art museum or a place where altered art can live in this game, and what better way to do that than to create my own altar for it. So Terramorphic Expanse it is. Now, if you're ready, join me down on the table and we'll get started on this altar together. All right, welcome to the tabletop. We're almost ready to start painting this card, but first let's do a quick check of our workstation to make sure we have everything that we need around us. First off, let's check the lighting, because without lighting we won't be able to actually see the colors clearly that we're mixing and trying to match with the colors on the card. From the camera this looks really dark, however in person there are two ceiling lights above me that are making a bit of a crosswash on the actual workspace itself. Now, I can still tell that I'm going to need a third source of light in future projects, and that's going to be something that I can directly aim at the card itself. So that will be the first thing on my shopping list going forward. Next up, we want to check for cleanliness of the workstation and how we're going to maintain that going forward. Now, I have a piece of computer paper here, just plain computer paper, underneath the Terramorphic Expanse. And I'm going to use this in two ways. One, it's going to keep the workstation clean, because I can just throw it away when I'm done. And two, I'll be able to use it as a bit of a pseudo palette. I'll be able to mix colors on it directly and before applying them to the actual card face itself. Next up, we want to make sure that we have some paper towel, which is going to come in handy for keeping our brushes clean in between the colors that we're painting on the card face itself. We're going to dip them into some water and then dry them off a little bit on the paper towel. So I've got that set up to the side. I also have my source of water, and that is just off to the side with the actual paper towel itself. That's ready to go. I have a palette. Mine is a giant palette. I didn't mean to buy it this big, however, that's what the dollar store had, so that's what I got. I'm going to use that to keep the paints separate before I mix them, and that'll just lead to a better paint experience, I believe. I also have a suite of brushes that I have gotten. They're all acrylic brushes of different sizes and shapes that I can use for hopefully different applications on the card itself. Next up, we have our paints. Now, I got my paints as part of a set. You can buy yours wherever you get acrylic paints, like a game store. You can get them in different kinds if you want to. However, mine are from Amsterdam because I got them from the same place that I got my brushes, which was Curry's. So to go through a quick list of the colors that I believe I'll need for this actual card, first up we have black, and then we're going to have some burnt sienna. We've also got some titanium white. And finally, I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to need this yet, but I have included it, and that is red. Lastly, oh, not even lastly, I'm sorry. Next up, I have a dry erase marker. Now, I know that you're supposed to use, from what I've seen, I know you're supposed to use a more of like a Stadler Lumacolor. However, I'm going to try this out because I wasn't able to find any Lumacolors. I'm going to try that out. I'm going to use it on the edges of the card to create a bit of a space for the paint to adhere to. And finally, we have a toothpick, which is going to come in handy when we go to clean up the card afterwards. So, without further ado, let's pour our paint and let's get down to painting this card. All right, and we are now done, at least as far as I'm concerned at this moment in time. To quickly recap how I feel about this, I think it went all right for my first time. I was pretty happy with like the workflow. I think something that I'll definitely need to work on is figuring out what colors I want to work in and then doing all of those colors on the card as opposed to going back and forth between, you know, lighter and darker shades all the time. Things that I like about how the card turned out, I do like the sort of transition from the actual extended art portion of the card to the black bottom. I mean, that's pretty good to like, pretty easy thing to like about it. I do like the edging work that I was able to get done on the bottom of the card, as well as some of the edging work on the top here. However, I left this too long to dry, and so I'm a little unhappy with the very top portion where part of the actual paint that I applied peeled off as I had scraped it away. Other things that I'll need to work on, definitely brush control to get better lines. I was quite able to sort of blend colors into areas where they should probably be, but I wasn't as good at creating solid lines to show things like, for example, these standing stones or even the highlights on this stone here. So that's something that I'll need to work on is brush control. As well, I think I'll need to work on color matching a little bit more. Or a lot more. I think this color up here, as well as the sides, could have been better matched. This dried a little bit brighter than I thought it would, to be quite honest. I thought it would dry a little bit darker than it did. However, overall, I'm happy with this Terramorphic Expanse as it is, as the first card that I have ever painted. So I'm ready to sleeve it up and throw it on my deck and see how it does. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for having joined me as I painted my first Magic the Gathering card. I had a lot of fun doing it. I think I've learned a lot through the process, and there are some definite things that I can improve on going forwards. The last tip that I want to give myself and you in this entire process is that it's important to remember that the effort you put in is more important than the perfection of the final product. And that's just to say you got to keep trying in order to get better. So I hope that you feel motivated now to grab some paint, grab some cards, and show the world your altars. If you do make one, please feel free to tag me online. You can find me at BelazArt on Instagram and Twitter. I would love to see your work. Also, if you'd like to continue to follow me on this journey, I'm hoping to release a new video every second Saturday, which will show a new card that I have painted and the lessons I've learned along the way. Please feel free to hit the subscribe and notification button to be notified when that video comes out. Until next time, I want to say thank you again and take care.